Hi, I'm Karamay, and I'm going to be talking about the add-on Raven. I'm on this little priest alt because Raven is already set up on most of my characters, and I don't really want to mess with it too much. So into the add-on. Raven is basically a combination of WeakAuras and like buff or dot timers. As you can see, these are various things it can track. So what you do is you click next to the thing, and then you click create as bar or create as icons. So what I'm going to do right now is create a timeline because I use this. And this one I think you can just, either one is the same thing. So now I've made a timeline. And I can drag it down here, that's like around where I have it. And now when I cast like cooldown spells, it will, oh, I think I put this up too high. It's good. Alright, I'll reload you, I fix that. So here, I don't have anything on my bars. It's weird. Well, let's see, if I use this, it shows up on the timeline. This, I equip a trinket, and now that's on the timeline, but I want to put back whatever I was using. I have no idea what it was. Okay, whatever. To normal. Whatever. Anyway. So you'll see it tracks the cooldowns of things, and you can edit that under conditions or bar groups. See, it'll show the different groups you have set up, and it's extremely configurable. But I think, like, by default, the timeline looks pretty good. I've edited the appearance a little bit, but yeah. So now, if you hit lock all anchors, that button goes away, and now you can't drag it anymore. So another thing that I like to use is notifications. I create that as icons, and move that out of the way, and it will tell me, when I'm, like, you know, missing these things, if I'm missing fort, but it'll only show it when I'm not rested. So inner fire, if I can dispel myself. I don't know what vampiric embrace is doing there. I think that's back when it was a buff or something. And then if you're missing a chakra, it'll tell you that. At least I believe. If you go into tests, you can figure out what its settings are. So yeah, I'll show you if inner fire is checked. I'm not rested, then it shows up here. And that's because I don't have inner fire on. Now if I use inner fire, it goes away. So I will check that again. So I joined that guild just for the hell of it. So anyway, uncheck notifications, and you can check buffs and create as bars. And now here you have little buff timers for yourself, except I have no short duration buffs on myself, so let's see, I'll use renew, and now you see here's renew. And again, if you go into bar groups, you can change so much of this. It's really, like, I don't know everything about this add-on. Like, my boyfriend uses this add-on, and he says that he knows even less about it. But his settings are, like, completely different from mine. So, it's really an add-on that you can make, like, whatever you want of it. And then you can have a debuff tracker, which is dot timers that you cast on targets, and they would show up like this. So you could create that bar. Oh, I have to uncheck buffs. Right. Or double click a bit. Anyway. So debuff tracker. Since I can't really fight anything right now, because I haven't played this character in ages, and, you know, the training dummies aren't going to really work for my level 54, you can click toggle test mode, and then it'll show you all of these, and you can move stuff around. So these are what things will look like, basically. And the debuff tracker will be sorted by which target it's on, too. So it looks a little better than this. For like monitoring like which things have debuffs. Another thing that you can use is cooldowns, and as you see right now, it shows the cooldown for this. If you're using the timeline, this is basically the same thing, but one thing that I have used the cooldowns for is if you go in here, you click cooldowns, you can uncheck everything, and then you can use just internal cooldowns. And I use that on my DPS to track the internal cooldowns on trinkets like the Purified Bindings of Immersius. And that'll show up as icons too. And you can like change the size of these, you can change the font. Like, let's see. I'll mess with this one a bit. Let's see. Oh, appearance. So you can change it from use defaults. The icon text can be larger. Time text can be larger. As you see. Let's see. Pretty sure layout can change something. I've never really messed with the size because I actually like the size of these for like my UI. I find the size very convenient, but you definitely can like change pretty much anything about it. So also like it'll color things based on like the icon and what type of thing it is. So it tries to keep things like pretty for you. And I think it's quite a good add-on. Like, let's see, I have anything else I can use? Psychic Scream. So you see this shows up now on the timeline, but it does not show up on cooldowns because I have my cooldown set to only track internal cooldowns. Which this thing doesn't have any of, but that's nice for making sure you have your internal cooldowns on your trinkets up for like a pull, or you know, lining up your throughput cooldowns with your trinket procs, that sort of thing. And of course you can track the actual buff too through other ways. Another thing is, if you go into say buffs, you can change it to whitelist buffs, and as you see I have a whitelist that I use on many of my characters to only show me like really important buffs, like some defensive cooldowns, my mana tea, which shows me the stacks and the duration, and then a lot of like throughput like things like trinket buffs and synapse springs, my engineering thing, and then only those will show up. Or you can use the blacklist and that'll show up. but yeah. So I like using the whitelist for buffs personally because I don't mind this buff display here, but if you want a buff add-on, this is one way to do it. But personally, I mostly use it for the timeline, which is, if you're familiar with Forte Exorcist, it's basically that. And Forte Exorcist isn't being maintained, so this is a pretty good replacement. I use it for the internal cooldown tracking. I use it for notifications to tell me when I'm missing a buff that I can cast on myself, or, you know, like a stance or something important like that, because a lot of those are baked into the notifications in Raven already, and you can change them. And I've set up some to be like, you know, low mana or something, and it'll make a sound when it happens. Like if I dip below, say, 20% mana, I will have an icon appear and it'll also make a little sound. Raven comes with a bunch of sounds. Where are these? I guess bar groups. Yeah, notifications. I think. I don't know. Oh. Yeah, so there's a lot of sounds here. And you can use other things, or you can use like Raven. And, you know, these are really cool. They're nice sounds. But, yeah, like, I don't know, you can pretty much do anything. If you don't use WeakAuras, or if you want an add-on that will do a lot of what WeakAuras does, like, at least in regards to tracking cooldowns and buffs and stuff, and you want, like, a dot timer too, then Raven is a really good add-on. If you already have WeakAuras, then there's a lot that Raven does that you probably don't need. But I still love the timeline feature, and I like the dot timers. Those are quite good. I have used them occasionally. I don't really play like a dot class currently, so the closest thing I have to that is my fire mage, and I track living bomb, but that's about it. So yeah, I would be using that more if I actually DPS'd on a dot class. But yeah, Raven is pretty awesome, and it's kind of underrated. It's just like, as you can see, there's so much in here that you can, like, mess with and make, and I don't even know, like, what all these things are. Like, there's just so much. Like, I don't know. You can pretty much do any kind of, like, tracking you'd want with this, but it's definitely good for, you know, tracking procs, tracking cooldowns, buffs, debuffs, stuff like that. And the timeline bar is great for those of us who have used Forte Exorcist and, you know, want to maintain a little cooldown bar somewhere on our screen, because Forte Exorcist is probably not going to work next expansion. I mean, it works now, but it's very, like, outdated, so yeah. I'm sorry that I don't know everything about this add-on, but it's really difficult to know everything about this add-on because it's a lot like WeakAuras. It's whatever you make of it. And the configuration windows and tabs are extremely in-depth, as you saw. So you can mess with stuff and configure it basically any way you like, most likely. So I hope you enjoyed this guide or introduction to the Raven add-on, and have a good day, and check out my other videos if you like this one. Thank you.